when the Civil War was being prosecuted. Lincoln put that into place because the whole of the Congress went sine die. That sine die means that there is without a day. In other words, every state that was part of the Constitution didn't have a date to adjourn, therefore there was no more government. This is why he put the War Powers Act in order to be able to maintain the Union, since the South had seceded from the Union. So that act has never, ever been rescinded. And every president since then has been using that to create a dictatorial relationship with all the corporations, which is what we're getting ready to turn into. There's going to be this force and this fight between communistic socialism and corporate fascism, which is going to be what we're going to see between Ron Paul, which is corporate, which is kind of a fundamental Republican fascism, versus a communistic socialism, which is what we're going to be feeling with Obama.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, wow. So the chemtrail is the barium and the radioactive. So when they project the aliens, the spaceship,
right? Exactly.
Wow.
So what you're looking at right now is a concentricity, or kind of a synchronicity and a convergence of how they're playing the game and getting us ready for this 2012. Because remember, we're dealing with apocalyptic madmen. Mm-hmm. And they believe that the only way for their savior, which essentially is just their own bloodletting religious form of, their God is about a blood god. It's about sacrificing children, Moloch. You see, the owl is their god. So what you're looking at is every sign that all of these companies, if you look at other companies, well, it is a company, all of the countries, if you noticed, all of the countries that are the industrial supergiants, all of them have predators as their symbols.
Mm.
So you have, what is the symbol of the United States?
The eagle.
Right. What was the symbol of Nazi Germany? The eagle.
Mm.
What was the symbol of South Africa? The eagle.
Mm.
So what is the other symbols of another? What was the symbol of the British? The lion. Remember, when you're dealing with a predator, you're not dealing with someone who is a provider, one who promotes life. You're dealing with an opportunist that parasites off of life. Now, no matter how beautiful and bold the lion looks, or no matter how beautiful and wonderful the eagle looks in its majesty, it's a parasite. It lives off of others. If there is nothing for it to parasite or to predate, it predates on itself. Whereas our ancestors, the ancient Kemites, one of our main and most powerful symbol was the humble honeybee. Why? Because the honeybee provides not only for itself when it goes from flower to flower, but it provides for the rest of all the life forms that eat the foods that it provides for everybody by doing what it does. So there's a difference between a provider and a parasite. And we are under the auspices of a predacious parasite who takes what he wants based on opportunism. That's what capitalism is. So the whole mentality is what needs. This is an entire mentality that has grown over the last, I would say, 1,500 years since the Catholic Church began to write the Intercateras that told the kings of Europe that they could go ahead and rape, pillage, and rob in the name of Jesus Christ.
Wow, that's deep, Dr. Phil. Now, someone in the chat room is saying that it seems like time is speeding up. So if it is, I mean, do we speed up or do we do the opposite?
That's interesting. Time is an element. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Time is the provider of all of what we see as physical life. All life has stages of expression. It goes from time, space, let me see, there's time, space, sound, light, fire, air, fire, water, and earth. These are the principles of how time folds itself into being. Time is an element. It's what sets the precedent for life to become on the material realm. Without time, there is no material expression of life. All material expression of life lives based upon a time signature that time provides for it to exist. So time seems to be speeding up only because your consciousness is stuck in the old paradigm that essentially makes you believe that the body that you have and the sensual expressions that it gives you, the lust it has, the hungers, the different types of thirsts and all this is what makes you believe that time is speeding up. It's because your mind is not keeping up with the consciousness dictates that is supposed to be happening. Time seems to be speeding up only to those who are not interfaced with the time that the universe is in. Right now, the kind of food you're eating, the kind of things that you're thinking about, the kind of temporal, very low energy material gain and fear keeps you believing that time is outpacing you. That's because your body is living in retrograde time.
And speaking of time, I know they talk about the Mayan calendar 2012, but also the parasites have messed with time. They've changed the clocks and the calendars. So how do we know if we're, right on target?
But you see, again, whatever time, the Gregorian calendar is based upon a slave maintenance paradigm. The Gregorian calendar essentially is based upon commerce. It's based upon the Europeans' consciousness structure. Our time, we had like 4 or 5 different calendars. And the long count calendar, the short count calendar. Our calendars were based upon growing. Our calendars were based upon building a house. Our calendars were based upon specific time frame references with which how do you build a house and where do you position the furniture and so forth. We had different calendars for every part of our lives. That's because the European keeps us in this one calendar that we have. For us to deal without that is to not use the calendar as our main reference for time. You have to get inside of yourself. What we teach is you have to become more knowledgeable of the time that the universe has set within you. Your clock is running on universal time inside of you, in your genetics. But they have you preoccupied with the time that they have now orchestrated based upon them getting you addicted to their time cycles. When you have to have your coffee in the morning, when you got to get up to go to work, when you got to go to sleep, when you watch football, when you have sex. All of these are time references that they've placed on you. You have to examine from the time your foot hits the floor in the morning to the time you pick it back up to go back to bed at night. What have you done in that day that belonged to you? What time frame reference belonged to you?
And someone also is saying in the chat room that that we are multidimensional, that we can be in different dimensions and time at the same time.
Yes, that's true. But guess what? How do you access the next vibratory frequency of yourself to the next? You can't. We are multidimensional entities. All living forms are living on different dimensions. In fact, you are nothing more than a projection from one dimension into this dimension. So what it is that you are a multidimensional creature, but again, you're in lockdown. Just imagine that you are in a jail cell. And what we see as white light on the present spectrum and the spin particle and the spin dynamics of the atom and the particle on this level, just imagine what light is. You know what white light really is, right? You can tell me what white light really is. It's broken down into 7 colors. Well, just imagine that those 7 colors are actually the bars of your prison. And that you only see within that spectrum of consciousness. And that therefore you have to now resonate all the elements in your body, all the particles, all of the atoms have to spin at a faster rate, and they can't spin at a faster rate if you're over there chomping down McDonald's or you sucking down all kind of crap into your system. Every time you eat filth and garbage, you slow the rate of your dynamics. You slow the rate of your atomic and particle spin. And therefore, the more you slow that down, the lower your consciousness is, and you're never going to get into your multidimensionality. It's when you're purifying, when you're cleansing and you're eating the right foods and you're in a higher frame of mind that you begin to pick up any kind of reference to your multidimensionality. That's why people who are addicted to crack and drugs, who have very high Neptune in their astrological signs, like Pisces, these people are perfect candidates for addiction because they have this high quality energy, that Neptunian energy that wants them to see psychic things, and because they don't know how to reference it, their subconscious wants them to escape the body to actually interface with who they are, so they get easily hooked on drugs.
Wow. Now, someone else is asking, well, they're saying that we are seeing that the parasites are organized. Is there an opposition leader or group to fend them off?
I will not talk about that on this phone.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, but now you're saying that individually we can get out of this prison. You just broke that down for us.
Yes. It has to be something that you come to clarity with. There is an inventory that we must all do for ourselves. There is an inventory that we must take that will reveal to us just how bogged down we are in the illusion that they have created. And to do that, it takes a little while. But with perseverance, with continued dedication or livocation towards that, you become more and more aware of who you are essentially. There is an essential self, and then there is this superficial self. You have been preoccupied. You have paid all your attention to the superficial self. You have fed the superficial self. You have aggrandized and entertained the superficial self all your life, because that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to be more entertained and entertained about who you are. So your superficial self is all you know. But the essential self has gone untapped. It has disconnected. And when you get back to understanding and understanding the essential self, then it begins. Otherwise, just telling you certain things like this, I can't tell you this within an hour like this. I can't tell you what to do in an hour. Each person is individual. I can give you an overview, but then it doesn't make sense, because then we're dealing with what I call fast food. You know, it's like you want to get something to eat, let's go ahead and pass by the window and grab a Mickey D. burger. That's the same kind of mentality that's got us so superficial today.
Mm-hmm. And some of these things are what you are teaching at your school.
Exactly. We teach about now is, you see, metaphysics, most people back when I was 35 years ago, when I began teaching it and hardly anybody was into it, they thought it was just a bunch of hoodoo and this and that, and it was not. Metaphysics is a new language, a relanguaging. It's like ebonicizing or taking knowledge and giving knowledge a whole new diagram of words. What you have been taught to describe is the material effects of your society and your life. So everything you have around you right now and everything you perceive of around you is the effects. What we do at our school is teach you the cause, because the cause is invisible. It's only the effects that are visible. So everything in your life right now is an effect. It's the result of something. But most people are caught up in looking at the effects. Just like you are caught up when you get sick, your doctor is caught up in the effects, which is not the cause. And he gives you drugs to deal with the effects, which never takes care of the cause. But your whole life is like that. Our whole life is like that. It's a preoccupation with effects, and what we teach at our school is how to recognize the cause, how to re-envision, but how to access the invisible realm and define the invisible realm, give it a substantiality, thresh it out so that you can now see that there is always something behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain that's actually creating the effects. And that's what we do. We part the curtain, or we lift the veil of Isis to show you how these effects come about.
I'm going to go to the telephone lines, and if you want to talk to Dr. Phil Valentine, the number is 347-215-8041. 347-215-8041. Area code 347. You have a question or comment for Dr. Phil Valentine? Area code 347.
Hello, good night.
Yes.
Hi, good night.
We hear you.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Good night. Blessings to both of you. I just want to ask Dr. Valentine a question. Since most of us, so I can speak for myself, is behind on my diet, is there another way I can circumvent this? Like if I get into the practice of voodoo or some other spiritual practice, would that help me to defeat this beast and in this way ascend and, get out of this program since I'm behind on my diet?
Well, to be behind on the diet is simply a choice. All things are based on choice.
Mm-hmm.
What I would suggest is that you can call us at the 800 number if you wish to join one of our programs. We don't just teach at the University Metaphysics. I am also, as our sister said to you earlier, I am a doctor of naturopathic medicine, as is my wife, Dr. Nalani. As a matter of fact, my first thing before I was a metaphysician is that I was a doctor. I am a doctor.
Okay.
So we put people on specific programs, help them, with their dietary challenges. We don't call it diseases. We call it challenges. And if you have a challenge with weight, or if you have a challenge with eating, or if you have a challenge with cancer, we teach people how to heal themselves. We empower people. There are different stages to our programs. One is 2 weeks, another is 4 weeks, and you actually are rendering your donations for the time that you be with us, because we have people all around the world that's on our programs, and we can't go to them and they can't come to us. So we have a 2-week program, a 4-week program, a 8-week program, and what we call the Life Path, which is a 4-month program. We also have a 9-month program for women who wish to be with us through their term of pregnancy. But we do it by way right now of the Internet, which we find is very good. And depending on how serious your problem is, we would then give you the advice and how much resources you have to put in or invest in your upliftment. We would then work with you and teach you what you need to do to never have to go and see a doctor, unless, of course, God forbid, there's an accident or something, then, of course, you would want to go to what they do best, and that is to patch people up. But as far as healing is concerned, we deal with teaching that person how to heal. No longer are we going to make you dependent, or should you be dependent on anyone for your own well-being. You are the one that is walking around. You are the driver of your own biological vehicle, so you should know the instrument that you are in this time, and that's what we're here to do, teach you that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, caller. Area code 804. Area code 804.
Hello, Beverly D. Dr. Valentine?
Yes.
Yes, good evening. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year to both of you, and this has been a very, very good lecture on your part, Dr. Valentine. I've been a fan for the past several years after my son realized that all the things that I've been questions about, he pointed me to you, Bobby Hemmett, and others of the consciousness movement, and I have been a fan and a follower for a long time. I want to thank you for taking your time out to share everything that you're sharing with us. This has been a very good lecture on your part, and very, very informative. I was the one that was writing some of those questions in the room, and I want to apologize for putting you on the spot about opposition and whatnot. I should not have asked that in an open forum.
All right.
But my question is this. I'm a 61-year-old, African-American male, for lack of another title. And I have noticed that since I've been pursuing this thing called consciousness, my body has been going through changes. Things like my appetite, certain foods don't seem to do it for me anymore. I want foods that are less, let's say, like, people are putting all kind of condiments and things on food. I don't want that stuff now. I seem to want more of what comes naturally. And it's been hard. I don't go to the fast food restaurants anymore and whatnot, but the one thing that I found is that I don't know what to eat.
Well, the first thing I would definitely suggest for you and everyone there, if I might, and I call upon the host to her good graces to allow me to introduce her kind audience to a product called Juice Plus.
Juice Plus. I'm writing this down. Thank you.
Okay, now the product is called Juice Plus. You go up to the website Rethink Juice Plus. That's rethinkjuiceplus.com. rethinkjuiceplus.com. Now, just a very, very quick thing on that. The reason why I tell people that is because we are not getting enough fruits and vegetables so that we can get the concentrated benefits from it. Now they have found, after all this time that we have been trying to get people to eat fruits and vegetables over these last 35 years, a lot of my friends who have been driven out of the country, a lot of my friends who are dealing with cancer from nutrition were actually jailed. I was threatened many times for thinking about selling any kind of product that claimed anything. It always came down on us. Now, the Medical Association is finding out that the phytonutrients in fruits and vegetables have the power to get rid of, or at least prevent cancers, to reverse certain pathological conditions because of the concentrated nutrients. Now, these little things contain at least a combination of 17 fruits, vegetables, and 2 grains. And these are getting 98 to 99% potent. In other words, when they have juiced these vegetables, and this is the other part of it, family, the vegetables and fruits that you buy in the store, they ship them green to you. But here's in other words, they have to ship them green, and they have to ripen on the way, or they're in the store, because then they would be damaged. What happens is, fruits and vegetables do not get the maximum amount of nutrients unless they are vine ripened. If they are not vine ripened, then that last surge of nutrients right before the plant gives that is picked. There's a point where the fruit and the vegetables get a last burst of energies where the plant itself puts all of its energies into its fruits in order for it to be used by nature as well as to propagate itself. Well, at that moment is when most of the nutrients are in, and that's when those who make the Juice Plus pick it, then they juice it within 24 hours, and then they air dry it in cool air dry. They do not destroy the enzymes. So you get 98 to 99% of the enzymes in a concentrated form, and you get 17 fruits, vegetables, and 2 grains. It's a combination, 17 fruits and vegetables with 2 grains. And that concentration is what's missing. And those are what it is that I've been giving to my people, and with miraculous, and I can't say it because you're not allowed to say it helps to do this, but right. I will say to you that there have been miraculous effects by people taking this Juice Plus. And I highly recommend that to your family, that you go out and check that. And if you have any problems with it, please call us at the 800 number, 800-847-1291, and then ask us about that Juice Plus. We'd be more than happy to let you know about it because it's been absolutely wonderful for us personally.
Okay, thank you very much for that, because it has been a living hell. When I noticed that my body was almost rejecting through like acid reflux and what have you, the food I had normally been eating on. And it's like my body is telling me, and I've been trying to listen to it, you're hurting yourself. All these years, and now it's like my body can't take it anymore.
And that's because your body is now moving into an area of the universe where your energies are being forced. The spirals of the atoms, of your electrons, they're speeding up, and you can't eat the kind of low energy foods anymore, because then your body will begin to reject it and then show you that it doesn't want it, and it's going to make you suffer as a result.
It's happening right now. One last question, and I don't want to bogart the phone. I really enjoy talking with you. Because of the increased energy that the sunlight puts into the fruits and vegetables right before they ripen and pick, I had heard, I don't know, I think it was you who said that because of our DNA, that we actually, if we are living properly and eating properly, they're just like plants, that we can draw energy from the sun.
Yes, definitely. The sun is a nutrient giver. In fact, we, of course, have degenerated as humans, and now because of that degeneration, there are parts in our bodies, different organs in our bodies that we don't even realize are there because they've atrophied, they've shrunk. And because we have degenerated, we no longer have the power to absorb or to even use our melanin as a food source, as a source of nutrients for us to process the light of the sun into energy, because that's what melanin is. Melanin is a superconductor of energy. And because of what we're eating, because of what we're drinking, because of what we're breathing, we have shut down those superconductive capabilities that keeps us interfaced with the universe.
Okay.
And for us to bring that back, we have to start cleansing our bodies, cleansing our minds, and putting in the proper nutrients to match the speed orientation of the new particle spin that is happening.
So I'm not the only one you're hearing this from, I gather.
Oh, no. That's why we have our school.
Right.
Because, our young students are out there spreading the word.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're quite welcome.
Now, let's see. We're going to area code 253. Do you have a question or comment for Dr. Valentine?
Oh, yes. Peace and prosperity. I have a question. Concerning the placenta, Doc, I've heard so many different things on it, but as of late I've come to hear that the placenta is an essential part of our evolution as a people, especially the primordial people on this planet, and because we've been taught, and specifically the quote-unquote black woman have been taught not to consume her placenta, she's missing out on not only nutrients but specific evolution that's supposed to actually activate these certain chambers that lay dormant?
Well, that old ritual, and I wouldn't do it now because essentially the type of body that we have and the type of foods that they've been feeding us and so forth does not have that content of nutrition. What you're talking about is the consumption of the cord blood that had coagulated in the placenta. Well, that's essentially what they've been doing now, and it's a very good point you've built up and brought up. The cord blood is what it is that they are storing now, because the cord blood has these preliminary cells. I forgot what they call those cells. Stem
cells.
Stem cells, right. These preliminary cells, or these pre-cells, or what we call primordial cells, they have the ability to create and to propagate brand new bodies, to renew the body, so that when the black woman back then, when she was more in her divine state, when she consumed it, what it did was to rebuild her body, rebuild all of her insides and her infrastructure as if she didn't even have a baby. Wow. And when she consumed it, the nursing milk that she gave was of the highest quality, which is why when the French sent their professors to study malnutrition over in Africa, they went to places where there was malnutrition, but because of the culture, they found that the babies there were at least 3 to 5 years in intellectual advancement over white European babies who were supposedly well fed. Now, what they found, and just to kind of put a little capper on this, women, mothers who were pregnant consuming the Juice Plus had over 100 billion cord blood cells as opposed to the regular 100 million that most of the average mothers had. The concentration of cord blood, high energy, high concentrations of stem cells and blood vessels and blood cells in the cord blood of those mothers who took that Juice Plus were off the scale. The babies were born in what they call the APGAR test, which is the way they react. The way they react to the touch, they react to pin prick, the way they resist you or they push away from you, the way they cry and so forth.
Yes.
Babies who were on that Juice Plus scored in the 9s and 10s all the time, which meant that there is a specific nutrients that have been missing from mothers that this particular product and what just fruits and vegetables themselves are missing from that, so that when we begin to rehabilitate our sister queens so that their cord blood begins to come back to that level, which is going to take some time, because remember, there are people out there that are fighting against those genetics actually revisiting themselves back to the human race. So yes, you're correct. But I would suggest...
wanted to ask you... Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to ask you also, just real quick, because I know you ain't got much time, is it possible that also the cord blood, because they have also found that there's a multitude of hidden stem cell inside of the placenta, but this is the kicker right here. The DNA that's in the placenta seems to be carried down from generation to generation as if though there's a hidden knowledge. You know, like you see animals eat their placenta, and they know how to migrate and where to go, even though they never been there. Supposedly there's knowledge in the placenta for the primordial people of this planet, but if they don't consume it, they can't get access to that knowledge of generations before them.
But see, that's not necessarily for the human. It's for the animal.
Okay.
The human themselves already have that. The woman passes that on in her mitochondria. The mitochondria of the black female is the Alexandrian library of humanity.
Well, thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Y'all have a peaceful and a prosperous day.
You're quite welcome, beloved. Same to you.
Now, also, Dr. Valentine, I've heard that apricot seed has healing to it too. That I know we can't say what they say we can't say, but it also has a healing effect on cancer.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to contain certain anti-cancerous materials. But anything that has a high oxygen level or has something that disturbs the cancer level, that could reverse that. Let me give you a secret. Let me give your family a secret. Mm-hmm. Cancer is nothing more than radical yeast.
Cancer.
The very same properties in your body that feeds yeast feeds cancer.
So, like when women have yeast infection, so you just take things to get rid of.
They're dealing with a pseudocancerous condition.
Okay. Now, I'm going to area code 604. You have a question or comment for Dr. Valentine?
Just a question.
Okay.
Should I speak? Okay,
yeah.
Hey, Dr. Valentine. I know it's off topic, but I've heard you speak on reptilians before, and I've been attacked recently in my dreams, and I just wanted to get your input on that. I mean, like, how do I avoid being attacked by these reptilians in my dreams? Because I know they've been attacking me through sex, weird sex dreams.
Well, that would be something that I would actually talk to you in a private consultation, but I would want you to also consider this. The subconscious usually feeds back to us what we cannot process consciously in our waking states. So sometimes dreams are nothing more than the hieroglyphic reflections. Because remember, they come in the form of pictographic symbols. They don't come in the form of words. They come in the form of pictures and feelings and emotions that those pictures give to us while we're in the sleep state. What happens is, if we have certain conscious situations where we do not feel like we're in control, or if we do not feel as if certain things are righted before we close our eyes to go to sleep, we bring that problem to be solved in our unconscious state. And what then the unconscious does is it does what it does. It begins to communicate to us the way it communicates, and that's with pictures. The conscious mind communicates with words. The subconscious mind communicates with pictures. If the words have not been satisfactorily connected to give you a symmetry of peace or a symmetry of reasoning and logic, then you bring that back to you when you go to sleep. And the symmetry and the ability to try to bring the logic and symmetry back to you comes in the form of pictures that represent the confusion that you are having in your conscious state.
I understand. Thank you very much, Dr. Phil.
You're quite welcome, beloved.
Thank you, caller. Okay, Dr. Valentine, we have about 15 more minutes, and so I want you to give out your information again to the public.
Thank you. I'd be more than happy to. If you want to join our university, or if you wish to have a consultation, if you know of anyone that would like to spend time with us and to invest their resources in getting their health together, or invest their resources, or to invest your resources in building your knowledge of self as well as for consciousness, we do give certification at our university. It's not just to teach, but if you wish to be certified in metaphysical psychology and classical naturopathy under the University of Commission Sciences, you can't go out and get a job with it, because we're not teaching you to get a job. We're teaching you to teach the planet, to uplift the planet. If you were looking to get Juice Plus so that you can bring that as part of your paradigm, we have it for, we also give it free if you do come on and get the Juice Plus. I just want to say this. If one parent does purchase the Juice Plus, we can put them on the child health study, and if the child is 4 years of age or over, we will give them free Juice Plus for 3 years. So, yes, we are doing this, and the company is doing this in order to enhance the healing index in this planet, and they're doing their best. They're bending over backwards. So that's the other thing. If you're all willing to join us in this incredible journey that we are about to, actually, not the end of time is coming up, but the beginning of the new paradigm, please give us a call at 1-800-847-1291. And we would be more than happy to have you. We are beginning our next semester for the university in February in so-called Black History Month, but that's another misnomer. But we are starting then. And for those of you in New York, I'm hoping to be coming back to New York to do part 2 of our Hidden Colors. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie documentary Hidden Colors, but I was just talking to the producer, Tariq, and Brother Tariq said to us that he wants to do part 2 at the Apollo Theater. So we're hoping that that comes about in the first part of February. And for those of you out on the West Coast, at the end of February, I am hoping to be in Seattle, where we're going to be doing an African history with myself and Brother Kaba Hiawatha. And we're going to be out there for you brothers and sisters in Seattle. But if, again, you would wish to participate with us, again, the number is 1-800-847-1291.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Valentine. And before I let you go, what do you think that we need to be doing in 2012?
Well, 2012 is preparation time, and this is the time for everyone to make the commitment. This is a commitment time. There's no if or ands. There's no this or that. There is what it is and what you have dedicated your mind and your heart to at this very moment. Do not fall for the hype. They are about to get dictatorial like you will not believe. But just remember, right before Christmas, when Christmas did, over 1 million guns were sold in this country. So things are beginning to change. They're getting ready to be stepped up. They brought back over 45,000 soldiers. They didn't just bring them back because they love the soldiers. They brought them back because they're going to need them in a country that is primed for unrest, primed for civil war. Now we're going to be seeing whether or not Obama is going to fulfill his pledge, because last year he was supposed to make an announcement of the extraterrestrials who have been here over the last 1,000 years, but he was told not to, or else his family would have been killed. So now what happens is we have to see whether or not he will fulfill what is supposed to be part of his own destiny and be the revelator, one who comes forward and tells the world that we have, and there are people here that have been amongst us from other planets, or we are being visited from other planets, and that the Galactic Federation, which essentially is hovering just off of Saturn in a moon-like ship that a friend of ours named Raleigh Martin had visited. And he himself, if you know about Raleigh Martin, he was one of the first ones to speak about what it is that Steven Spielberg took his little book and memos, and the ending part of Close Encounters of the Third Kind was taken directly from Raleigh Martin's book. So this is getting ready to happen. So I would just recommend to people to get your health together. Don't believe the hype. Don't kowtow to fear. Don't open your heart to fear. to become empowered by the fact that you are a God and that everything you're living right now is an illusion. It's a projection. It's participation in a temporary space for you to become more knowledgeable of the God self within you and to enjoy your life, to enjoy your family. Tell your family and everyone around them how much you love them. Always tell your family how much you love them. Always speak of love to the people that are dearest to you. Men, start stepping up. Young men who's listening to me, step up and become fathers, real fathers. Man up, as they say, to become real fathers, especially, and good husbands, good men for your women. Sisters, time for you to step back. You don't need to be working as hard, even though they're telling you to. You're not independent, and there's no such thing as feminism. That was Rockefeller-funded, CIA-backed. That's not real. It's time for us to find the germ, to find the center, to find the core and the vortex of the family once again, because that's the power they fear. When the people begin to deal with the archetypal, instinctive, intuitive selves, the parasitic elite fear that because that's the empowerment. And I say that, find yourself within, know thyself. And 2012 will be a time to celebrate even through all the madness that we're about to face.
Well, thank you, Dr. Val.